Here we go. Scott Doyle here from Ithaca, New York, doing a shoe review for the Trails Collective. Doing a review on the Hoka Challenger ATR 6. Which I've sometimes heard referred to as the all-terrain rascal. I'm not sure if that's anywhere near close, but it's the ATR 6. This is the shoe right here. I think it's a secret weapon shoe that I'll tell you a little bit more about here in a minute. Spec-wise, the stack height is 31 millimeters in the heel, going down to a 26 millimeter forefoot for a drop of 5 millimeters throughout the shoe. The weight is 9.8 ounces in the men's shoe, 8.1 ounces in the women's shoe. The outside lugs here are 4 millimeter lug with a mixed foam base. Comes in at a retail of $129.95. So to the review here. Give you a little bit of sense. This is a shoe I've been running in for the better part of the last 6 to 8 years. I've been special ordering this from the Finger Lakes Running Company. And it's been my do-everything shoe. It's the Swiss Army knife shoe. It's the kind of the person that you always want to meet up with to be able to do anything. You know, they're ready for anything, whether it be road, trail, anything in between. Great thing out of the door into the trail for sure. The out-of-the-box feel on this is quite good. I never have run a race in a shoe directly out of the box. I think you could with this. It's a comfortable shoe. It's a good-looking shoe. It's not as dramatic of a shoe as other Hoka products, but I like that. I like that it's a little bit simpler. There certainly are some jazzier colors, but it's a good feeling shoe. It's been referred to, I think in its early days, the earlier iterations, as the trail version of the Hoka Clifton. I think it's better than that though. I like the Clifton. I use that a lot for road. I wear that a lot harder than the Challenger, so I think the Challenger is going to be a better one for most every other cases. It's also, interestingly now, they're marketing this, even though it has always been a trail promoted shoe. It's being promoted more as a hybrid now. In the insole, they're now calling this smooth for trail and road both. So it's interesting new marketing they're doing on that version. So updates from previous models. So again, as I said, I've been running this thing for the last 6 to 8 years. So I've used everything, I think, since the first version of this shoe. And it's changed a lot. It hasn't changed a lot since the Challenger 5. The Challenger 5 is a very similar feeling shoe. I still am actively running in this shoe as well. It looks a lot similar with a couple of key differences, which I'll point out here briefly right now, and then I'll get into it in a little more detail. So the 5, again, I like, but I think I'm liking the 6 a little bit more. The key differences between the two are, right away, it feels different. The 6 feels like the upper is a little bit different. In fact, it is. The material is a post-consumer recycled product, which I'm quite happy to hear about that. Certainly I love to support that type of product. It's a different feel than the mesh base of the previous editions. The mesh base has been really great for certainly draining. It's not necessarily the longest term upper that I've used, but it's good. The other big difference, big being relative, is the shoelace. The shoelace has always been, seems like a funny thing to note in a review, but the shoelace has always been this flat-based shoelace here. That's quite a bit different now in this update. It's this rounded, a little bit more durable shoelace, but it doesn't quite tighten things down as I'm used to with this previous models. Certainly have an earlier model here too, which I think is the 4. Another great shoe. I really like the look of this shoe, but this feels a little less durable overall. So that's one of the big differences. The overall look and feel, particularly the sole, is very similar to what the previous editions have been. So It's good. I think this new model will likely weather better over time. We'll see. So, feel and fit of the upper on this new Challenger ATR 6. Again, this recycled product is a little bit more cloth-like, I think, than the previous editions, and I kind of like that so far. It does have a slightly different feel of weight. And I'll be interested. I have a sense that this previous edition was actually less than 9.8 ounces, but I'm not sure of that point. The other components on the upper, it feels a little bit wider in the toe box, which I like. It doesn't. I think the previous editions of the Challengers sometimes were a little bit tight. Not bad, but a little tighter. So it feels a little bit wider, but it still seems to hug the foot pretty good with this new material. We'll see how it does over time for sure. Midsole. Midsole is very similar to the previous edition. It's a very similar breakdown, very similar feel. I almost wish it would be slightly thicker midsole, but I think overall it's worked pretty well. And it's very responsive. I think it's less thick than other Hokas, so it protects you certainly from the different rocks and sticks on the trail and that type of thing, but it still is responsive enough and protects you enough. But I think it could be a little bit more cushioned. Traction-wise, traction is the huge selling point of this, particularly in upstate New York running. I really like the traction. I've always liked the traction on this. And the 4mm lugs are perfect for that. It's this foam-based mix here too, but they're soft enough. They're soft enough to be able to cross creeks, go over ice. It's a really nice kind of mix to have that. It's the right mix for that, but also really great on dirt running, trail, and very forgiving on road as well. I mean, I certainly wouldn't solely run this on the road, but you can do quite a few miles on the road without much problem. So traction is great. I think it's, again, a very similar structure to the previous edition. This is the previous breakdown as well. It's a very similar look to the previous, and then this as well, the 4. So that's the traction is a selling point. It also seems to help this hold up longer than a traditional Hoka holds up. I like that. I think this is going to be great. I can't wait till the snow flies in Ithaca to be able to really lean on this a little bit more. But it makes you feel confident doing those types of runs. Now, durability, this is again one that in the past I've had a little bit of problem with the mesh upper in particular. As with any foam-based shoe, it seems like you wear these a little bit quicker maybe than a traditional shoe, but the traction in the lug seems to hold up really well. I really have a hard time running and wearing shoes. I wear them pretty hard, but this lug seems to be the right mix for me, at least, to run and wear that pretty hard and holds up pretty well. But now the upper I mentioned, I've had problems with the previous upper. The upper drains really well, but also starts to, especially the very early editions of this, they could rip and holes in there, and they could have different problems with that. So this new upper, I have high hopes for. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to feel good and hold up a little bit longer than that, but we'll see over time. I've only put in about 60 miles on this so far. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's a type of thing that, especially in Ithaca, it's the kind of do anything, perfect dinner guest, if you will. It's adaptable for any situation you might come up or any conversation that comes up. You know, you can take this on a trail. You can do this throughout the region on the different rail trails. You can do the ruckways that are mixed surfaces. You go on and off trail there. You can go onto concrete, no problem for the period of time. That's like perfect for this shoe. And this is one that, that's predominantly the stuff I run, Greater 6 Mile Creek and other areas that has that mixed surface, and this is a perfect one for that. So I have high hopes for this. The addition is really great. There's some nice new detailing throughout, as I mentioned in the inside. It's also clean enough. Has some of the specs on the inner instep here, which is kind of fun. But it's just a consistently good performer, and I think it's one that I'm actually surprised that more people don't utilize as much. I think it's a great one for certainly any trail run, but also things in between as well. So, got Scott Doyle from Ithaca here. Happy to try this model out, and I'd recommend it. And we'll see how it runs. Hi, Scott Doyle here from Ithaca, New York, doing a trail review for the Trails Collective. Scott Doyle here from the Ithaca, New York, doing a shoe review for the Trails Collective, doing a review on the Hoka ATR 6, referred to as the all-terrain rascal. I'm not sure if that's anywhere near.
You missed Challenger in there.
Did I? Damn. Oh, wow. All right. Maybe the retake is not worth it. All right. Here we go. Scott Doyle here from Ithaca.